Hi Charles, hope you're well and thank you for your updates. So, going over everything you've just said, glad that you're happy with your rate of gain. It is a really good pace, to be quite honest. When we're looking at that, and that's 0.5% of your body weight per week, obviously leading to that 1% every 2 weeks, that 2% per month. I think that's a really nice rate of gain, especially for someone where you are in terms of coming out of being at quite a lean state, and also at your level of advancement and your body size. I think these are all, or maybe not body size, I don't think that necessarily because it's a percentage, but for your level of advancement, where you are right now and all of those things taken into consideration, I would always prefer to be on the slightly more assertive side than less assertive anyway. It frustrates the hell out of me that my body weight is basically maintained the last 3 weeks and I feel like I could potentially have been missing out on things because you put so much effort into the gym. Why would you want to miss out on any little ounce of muscle? Obviously not at the cost of tons of fat, but we're not talking about that. So that's cool, and I'm glad that you're psychologically feeling better and better about how things are going. Obviously physiologically, I assume feeling better as well. Performance will go up, you'll start feeling better. It's actually incredible to me. You talk about libido, and it's something people don't like to talk about, obviously, because it's quite a touchy subject. But I have some weird experiences with testosterone levels, and the easiest thing to really hold on to as a very direct indicator of testosterone levels and that sort of thing is libido. So I know when I had, after my accident, I had a really bad time. And obviously you can have reasons for having poor kind of libido that are outside of testosterone, but many of them I think were related to it because when I had my short course of TRT, my libido was horrendous. It was actually bad, like it was, I would say, to a point where it was stopping me progress through my day and concentrate, which I can only imagine when people are on gear, how horrendous it is, and how horrendous it may be for their partners. But these things are true, and Broderick's briefly spoken about it and how difficult it can be. So the fact that now, like just the fact of like, rather than like you walk down the street, rather than you're looking at all the like advertisements for food, now you're checking out the hot girls. That's absolutely, like, that's a good indication and a cool little bit of anecdote to suggest that you are in a better position or would be in a better position. So absolutely, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it makes complete sense. Just to confirm that. In terms of your training, so yes, I did know your left leg was a smaller circumference than your right leg. I didn't realize also due to the length of the leg that leg press I knew you were able to do it, and so I didn't realize that doing it led to that difference in how you would do it. Obviously, if I think it through now and I take you through a leg press, I can see how that would happen. So I think going forward into next mesocycles, it makes very good sense for us to prioritize single leg movements just as a totality, because it doesn't make sense it's kind of like the limiting factor when you're doing deadlifts is your grip, and so your back and your glutes and your hamstrings don't get as big as possible. Your grip is limiting you, just like that leg isn't getting as big as possible because the length of it versus the other one is limiting you because you can't fully utilize it. So yeah, we will stick to bilateral style movements in the next mesocycle. Bilateral, unilateral, sorry. Always that always gets me for some reason. I'm always like, uni just sounds like both together, but actually that's single. So anyway, so I think that makes sense, and I think you doing an extra set for the smaller leg also makes sense. You're completely right, it won't add that much fatigue. I mean, one set won't anyway, depending on what it is, but the fact that it's a single leg movement, first of all, already means less load. It also means less musculature, and because it's weaker anyway, less fatigue will be generated systemically from that as well. So I think you're fine doing that, and that's fine. The issue with kind of adding sets just ad hoc is that they can add up quite rapidly, and we have to be sure. And I don't I almost want clients to earn volume. It's very much the way I go about things is we work from the bottom up. So we want to find the least we need to grow, because that's such beneficial volume that will allow you to progress from there, and you don't miss out on those kind of easier gains as such. Find that, make sure your technique is spot on, make sure your intent is spot on. Once you've got all of that in line, then you earn volume and you progress forwards with it. So I just don't like people giving, because I've had it before where I haven't considered those factors and I've just given people volume because they're like, oh, I'm recovering, fine, look, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, awesome, yeah, you're maintaining like repetitions across sets and all of this sort of thing really, really well. And then in hindsight, we look at it and we're like, what, how actually did you manage to do that much volume? Because you weren't working hard enough or their technique was poor. So I just want to make sure those things are in line before we do too much there. So I did want to just bring up, it looks like you are able to repeat performance on quite a lot of your sets. So just be careful to make sure that from set 1 is that many reps in reserve. And then the last one is the same reps in reserve. You don't end up doing like 5 reps in reserve and then the last set's 2 reps in reserve. And it's like, well, the first set, we want it to be harder than that, just to make sure. And don't feel like you need to repeat performance. You will see generally reps drop off as you have on some of your exercises. On more isolation movements, people who are more slow twitch dominant, I see rep performance maintaining more, but not all the time. A big example for me is like I can barbell rowing, I can like get like 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 8. Like that's how my set would go. But for like a deadlift, a pure example yesterday, 11, 9. If I tried again on that same weight, I probably would have got like 6 or 5. I'm just gone. So it depends. So I just wanted to say that. So I just want to see if I don't think there's anything else. In terms of leg curls, the only thing I can recommend in terms of that is using a lower weight for sure. And really, I kind of push my butt back. I like tilt posteriorly, if that's a word. I kind of arch my chest up and I push the pad, which is already tight on your legs, but I push onto that. So like my whole back and hips are locked into position, and then I can just boom, ham. I can just all from the knee joint moving and nothing else as best as possible. There's going to be a little bit of movement there, just inevitably. So yeah, just have a play with it. I think over time you'll get better at it. If you want to drop in a form video just for us to see it, absolutely do. There might be small things that we can pick out. Otherwise, everything's going really swimmingly. So I'm really happy, Charles. So have a brilliant week and I'll check in with you next.